I have my cheat sheet out for actors' names. Cool.
Great. I'm glad you have that because I don't. Joe is the prepared one of the group.
Sup. I knew the assignment. I don't always do it on time. And I do it. Hello and welcome to May the Review Be With You with Nick and Joe. I'm Joe.
I'm Nick.
And today we're talking about episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Marvel's Secret Invasion. We're going back to TV series, which we haven't done in a hot minute.
Woo-hoo.
Yeah. Nick, before going into this show, how you doing?
Doing well.
Yeah, doing
Still,
well. Everything's good.
still mad that I lost 20 something dollars on the Flash, but they've lost over 200 million. So I guess last laugh is mine. Anyway,
That was a saving grace for you.
yeah, they lost way more money than me.
Secret Invasion.
Secret
Episodes
Invasion.
1, 2, 3. We're halfway through Secret Invasion now, which I was about to say starring, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury, but this is actually one of my things about the show. I don't know if I can confidently say that this is starring Nick Fury. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I say you're immediately suggesting that he's also a Skrull right now.
No. That's actually very funny that you say that because yes, I do have that theory. But no, that's actually not what I meant. I just meant he's obviously one of the focal point characters, but I don't feel like this is a Nick Fury show. The same way that a lot of other Marvel properties are like, this is an Iron Man movie, this is a Captain America
Yeah,
movie. This is
I
not a Nick
mean,
Fury show.
I don't know. Like it feels like it doesn't really feel like a solely a Nick Fury show. It's more of like the story of like what happened in between Skrulls coming to Earth and now,
Mm.
I guess, right? Like because it's really more about Nick Fury and his relationship with the Skrulls and all that. Just it's like I don't even know where to start. I'm going to follow your lead on this whole episode because like there's a lot of things. I think overall I've enjoyed it so far,
Mm.
but there's some like choices they've made that I'm like, what are they? Why? Like, why are we doing this? Like, what? And it's actually ever at the end of each episode so far, I've been like, no, why? Like, why? Like, what's the point? Like not
Yeah,
necessarily
that's how I
no, but
felt
like I
too.
don't understand why this is the choice.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, and I guess that the three things now that we're here, we can get to them separately, but the three things are Mariah Hill getting killed,
Maria Hill.
uh, Maria Hill getting killed, excuse me, Maria Hill getting killed, him having a wife who then is also a Skrull. I was like, what? Like, okay, and
Yeah,
then
very odd choice.
the third thing is the daughter. What's the daughter's name?
Oh, you're talking about oh my God, Gaia.
Gaia.
Yeah.
Gaia getting shot, which I'm not convinced that she's actually dead yet. But
Mm.
um, that I was just like, like I don't know. It also doesn't feel like killing two women two strong female characters like in the first three episodes of a TV show when like there's obviously clearly like a movement in Marvel to like highlight women more. Kind of feels a little bit like off the path as well. I'm maybe thinking too much into it because obviously we still have three episodes left, and Gaia might not actually be dead. But yeah,
Yeah.
The Maria Hill thing is really disappointing because I love that character. So
That was wild. So let's do a quick episode per episode. So episode 1, we are introduced to Everett Ross, our CIA agent, which are automatically, as soon as you see him, if you've been following the Marvel canon, this already feels off.
yeah,
Uh, since we know that he should be in Wakanda. It is quickly revealed to us upon him talking to some Pepe Sylvia esque gentleman who's got this crazy board of what happened to everybody's mail and how all the mailmen must be Skrulls. he is quickly killed, and then we quickly learn that this is not Everett Ross. This is a Skrull, which kind of sets the whole tone for the show of, who can you trust, right? Um, how'd you feel about seeing Everett Ross?
I thought that was an awesome opening. I was like, oh, no way, this is great, and obviously quickly you find out it's not really him. But I think he's like probably one of the more like beloved like slide-in characters, like, or I guess supporting characters is probably the word I should use. He's like one of the more beloved supporting characters for like whenever he's on screen, so it's always cool to see him, regardless if it's like actually Everett Ross or if it's a Skrull playing Everett Ross. Yeah.
So, I mean, as a result of this scene, Maria, who makes contact with Talos, and I guess Talos doesn't kill the Skrull who's Everett Ross. He chases him, and that guy accidentally dies. Well, after this, Maria calls Nick Fury, who's been up in Saber this whole time.
Yeah.
And we come to find out that Fury's been dodging phone calls. That apparently ever since the blip, he's not really been. We're reminded over and over again that he hasn't been Fury, which you mentioned earlier. Hey, is that you trying to say that you think he's a Skrull? Yeah, I absolutely think he is. I don't think this is our Nick Fury at all. I feel like he feels off to me.
Well,
go ahead.
Sorry, but to because we're on it and it just popped into my head. Can we talk about the scar on his eye?
What about it?
It's bigger than in the other films, is it not?
I know he's not noticed that.
I know he's not wearing the eye patch, but there's no way that the eye patch takes away from, like, covers how big those scars are, because the scar is clearly it's from when he lost his eye.
Yeah,
and when he gets
good friend.
Yeah, when but that's like 30, 40 years ago, and I don't remember the scar being that defined in any of the other films. And this movie, it's like, the TV show, it's like really like aggressive. The scar is really aggressive looking, and I know he's not wearing the eye patch. So I don't know if that's the reason, or they made the scar more defined because he's not wearing the eye patch for some freaking reason. Like, but it sticks out to me at every episode. I haven't gone back either, but I can't imagine that I'm wrong, because it's such a glaring thing that I've noticed. I'm like, it's never been this bad. But they also just didn't want him wearing an eye patch for some reason. He's just not wearing an eye patch. Like, it's Nick Fury.
I thought that was a bit weird too.
It's like, I don't get it.
I do have a theory about that. It's not Skrull related. This is counterintuitive to my idea that he's a Skrull. I think it's metaphorical. Because like the eye patch is like, that's like, if you think about an Avenger and like what it is, like what trait they have, right? Thor hammer, Captain America shield, Nick Fury, not technically an Avenger, but like, you know what I mean? He's one of those characters. The eye patch, right?
Yeah.
If you take that thing away from a character, it tells you that like internally they're going through something, right? They're not that person. So I think we will see him don the eye patch by the end of this, as he becomes like super spy Nick Fury again, right?
And maybe that's why they made the scars more defined, so that the audience can pick up on the fact that he's not wearing his eye patch and it's not normal.
Yeah.
Right? So I guess that would make sense. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense, but I don't know. But maybe that's how we're supposed to feel right now, a little bit like out of touch with everything going on and not agreeing with a lot of stuff because it just, something's not right, But and if Fury was Fury, then Maria Hill wouldn't have been killed, that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
Mariah? I'm going to say that wrong the whole fucking episode.
Oh no, it's another Kane Kong thing.
Damn it.
Maria Hill. So this episode, we get caught up with the Skrull situation, in which there's a Skrull colony in Russia, and they're actually inhabiting radioactive places where nuclear power plants were decommissioned, which I thought was kind of neat. It makes for a neat setting. We get to meet Gaia being the daughter of Talos. Get to come to find out that Talos' wife is unfortunately dead.
Yeah.
We get quite a few revelations in this first episode, including the fact that there is a I don't want to call it a civil war. I guess it's an insurgency of Skrulls who are pissed that Nick Fury and, or I guess Talos a la Nick Fury have not kept their promise in delivering a planet. Earth has become a refugee spot for 1 million Skrulls.
Yeah, insane.
Yeah.
And they've infiltrated like the deepest forms of government in the world.
Yes. Yes. And Gravik is now leading a revolution to exterminate humans and make Earth theirs.
Yeah.
And one of the incidents that he's going to cause by doing this is, of course, the climax of the first episode, which is the dirty bomb in, I don't know how to say the square in Russia, but whatever. For Unity Day, it's a lot of people. He's going to blame America, right? Bomb goes off and there's chaos. And as you have pointed out, Maria Hill is shot and killed by Gravik, who is disguised as Nick Fury. Ultimately, how do you feel about this first episode?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was like a great first episode. Obviously ends with a freaking shock because like everyone loves Maria Hill and now she's gone. So it was like pretty annoying, pretty disappointing. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, it was great. I like it's a lot though, right? Like you try not to think too deep into like how come this is all just happening now, or how come we haven't heard anything about this in the last 30 years, like all that stuff, obviously. Like you kind of have to ignore any of things like that because there's a lot of different things going on in the MCU, and so like you just kind of have to accept certain things being the way they are to be able to enjoy it. I guess the default's like the blip is to blame still for a lot of stuff, which rightfully so, like something like that.
I think that's a super fair justification.
That's the super fair justification. So it's kind of what they're going with. And like, my big questions are like, well, what the hell has Captain Marvel been doing for 30 years if she hasn't found the damn habitable planet, and I think that's probably maybe partly what the Marvels is going to tackle. Maybe. Because I know that Nick Fury's in that based on the previews for that have been released already. So maybe there's going to be some sort of, I'm kind of expecting to see Captain Marvel show up at some point here in this next 3 episodes, probably at the end on a cliffhanger like she has in a couple of the other TV shows, to kind of give us some more like context for what's next. Yeah.
I think the first episode was interesting. It is always fun to see Samuel L. Jackson in this role as Nick Fury.
For sure.
Yeah, and personally, I also have come to really enjoy Ben Mendelsohn as Talos. Super fun. Character I was not expecting to like so much was Olivia Colman's Sonia character. I'm still very confused about her character. I don't really understand her placement in the grand scheme of things, but I love her performance. It's great. As far as the first episode goes, I think that there's enough intrigue about it. And if you're going to do a spy thriller, you have to build intrigue and suspense, right? And I think that first episode definitely accomplishes that. That's definitely not my issues with it. I think killing Maria Hill is actually a great idea for a lot of reasons. I didn't see it coming because it always felt like Maria was going to be the next Nick Fury.
Yeah.
So that was shocking. But this is a character that a lot of us really like. And I think if you're going to sell the stakes of the show, you got to lead it off with axing someone. And as the MCU gets older, one of the disadvantages it has is its size, right? You have all these characters, and in some cases, their stories are going nowhere.
Yeah.
So at least Maria Hill's death can serve to move this story in a interesting direction, right? So I think that was a good idea. I think the problem I have with this first episode, and really all 3 episodes, is, and this is why I'm like, maybe Nick Fury's supposed to be a Skrull, but I'm also like, because of my eyepatch thing, I don't think he is. I'm conflicted because Nick Fury does not feel like Nick Fury to me. And it's not even just like, oh, he's acting weird. He's acting shady. it's not just that. It's things that he's saying that just like this doesn't feel like the super agent Nick Fury that I know from like Winter Soldier, you know,
Mm-hmm.
where we got to see him on full display. You remember the car chase scene
Yeah.
where any normal
Yeah.
person would be smoked,
Yeah.
and he's just got an answer for everything.
Yeah.
Like,
Look, I think we're supposed to feel this way because he's old. He's
no, for
older.
sure.
He's been
But
through a blip.
hear me out. Hear
He's
me out.
exhausted.
No, for sure, for sure. Hear me out. I think, and maybe this is to your point, but that there are little moments that I'm like, that's a bit odd. Where like in that first episode where Talos and Nick are trying to get information out of this Skrull who's pretending to be a museum owner, an art museum owner, I believe.
Mhm.
And there's this moment where like Nick's very in control. He's sitting in the chair. He's got the gun up to the guy. He's saying some very Nick Fury things. But then the situation quickly gets out of control as the Skrull puts Talos on the back end, right? And he's beating the hell out of him. And Nick actually like sounds scared in this situation and like calls out. He's like, Talos? Like in a very like unsure, like fearful way that just did not feel like the character to me. And like there's a couple of different instances of that come up. I don't know. It could be, maybe you're right. Maybe he's traumatized. Uh I feel
Well, he's
like a
also
lot of
just been out of the
people,
game, right? He's been
yeah,
on
he's been
Saber
out of
for
the game. And everyone keeps
years.
saying that, right? I mean, I think
So
that's my issue is like everyone keeps telling me that, oh yeah, Nick Fury, you've been different. And I guess like I'm seeing him be different, but like I guess I didn't think Nick Fury would be different. So
right.
I'm a little, I feel
Yeah,
like there's a bridge missing.
I get what you're saying though too, because like you hear that there's a Nick Fury based spy thriller coming to Disney Plus, and you're like, oh my god, this is awesome. We're gonna get to see Nick Fury be Nick Fury, and like we don't get that in the first 3 episodes. We get a broken, older, exhausted, like been out of the game for too long spy who's now coming back to Earth trying to figure out where he's gotten wrong. And it's just not maybe what we were expecting. But now that I'm talking about it too, in that first episode when he goes for a walk in Russia, and they didn't. He was like, "Well, you can't go walk on alone." He's like, "Yeah, I can," or whatever. And he gets like captured by Sonia.
Right.
But then we realize, oh, he wanted to get captured because he could put a
Right.
camera in her office, right? So like maybe he's in some cases acting like this because he knows that people will think he's old and washed up, and he can get more answers if he's a little bit reckless or like not himself. So maybe all of it is even just him like
playing
everyone else, including the audience, by not wearing the eye patch for a little while until
he
gets his groove. Who knows? But I think it's well done overall so far. It's fun. It doesn't seem like too serious of a, I don't know. Actually, this is going to be tough to say. It's like borderline too serious of a problem to not have like some Avengers come and help. But then it's also like they're kind of keeping it like they're kind of backing off on it getting too bad, right? Like was it the last episode recently or the second episode? I think it's the most recent one where the sub is going to shoot down the UN plane.
Yeah, that's the third episode.
Right? So like this is how like the third episode ends, right? Like the sub's going to shoot down this UN plane, and it's going to be this like huge, like this is what's going to start the next major like nuclear war, right? Like, and they actually they made me feel like for a second that they weren't going to be able to stop it. Like they did a really good job. I was like, holy shit, like this is actually going to happen. And then it doesn't. And like, that's the kind of thing where it's like, if it would have happened, it would have hit a level of like, we need the Avengers or like some other heroes in this, right? But they were able to stop it, which kind of keeps you thinking, okay, it's still like a traditional spy thing. Like they're figuring it out on their own. They don't need outside help, right?
Right.
Like even like Rhodey, like we've got to see Rhodey a little bit, which is really cool. But he's not really helping. He's like trying to keep Fury from being Fury, which is interesting.
Oh yeah, so like he's a Skrull, right? Like
gotta be. He's gotta be.
He's like 100% a Skrull.
He's gotta be a Skrull. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, if you're gonna do a story like this, right, where you don't know who to trust, you have to have those familiar faces that like it's like the moment, right?
Yeah.
And like who of all the characters that we've met in this series, like who's human, who's the most like susceptible to be that? It's
Right.
Rhodey.
Right. At some there, we'll probably get a reveal in the next 3 episodes that he's like, in that chamber.
I think we kind of got it actually at the end of episode 3.
Oh, really?
Um,
I didn't notice Rowdy.
it was well, you don't see him. We hear him when Priscilla is making a call and says, "I want to speak to Gravik," and someone on the other line says, "Yeah, well, you're speaking to me." That was definitely Rhodey. Like,
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
yeah, that
I have
was
to go back and
definitely
watch.
oh my god, Don Cheadle's voice.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I had to go back
Yeah,
and rewatch that.
it,
Yeah,
it
that's
it even
awesome.
sounds like the kind of thing Rhodey would say too. Yeah, well, you're speaking to me.
Uh,
Yes, it does. That's my thing with the show, Nick. I feel like I don't know where this is going, but like not in a good way. Like I feel
right.
like I don't know where it's going because like it feels like there's a ton of different. There are only 6 episodes.
Right.
How are we gonna get this all done?
Right. Yeah. The next one's gotta have to be some kind of like big event, right? Like they gotta get it going. So I mean, it would make sense if Guy is actually dead as well, right? I mean, even if she's not. And here's why I'm thinking she might not be dead, because he shot her once in the chest and he didn't like put a couple extra clips in because she transformed back into a Skrull.
Mm.
But all the Skrulls know that when they die, they turn back into Skrulls. So if you're someone who's trying to run from like the resistance
you
and
should
you get
transform.
shot, you should transform so that he thinks you're dead, and maybe you'll get lucky and he doesn't put a like an ending clip in your head, basically. And
That's
so
super
when
clutch if
she
that's
did
true.
that, I was like, they didn't show her body after they shot her, and she got shot in the chest in the dark. All they showed was like her turning back into a Skrull, but you didn't get a good look. And you saw that Gravik was like, okay, she's dead because she turned back into a Skrull. But they did a great job at letting all of us know that that's exactly what happens when they do die. So it could go either way. I could make a case that she's still alive. And this is where the next episode is important. It's either the turning point in the show is gonna either be she's dead and Talos is absolutely about to lose his mind and shit's about to get real, or she's not dead and she now is freely able to go back to the good side and work with Talos, her father, and Fury, and really figure out how to like knock this invasion down while she is also going to be able to like move freely because they think she's dead. So like either way, it was going to be like a cool thing. But I think I'm leaning more towards that she's actually not dead.
I like that idea that
I,
that she's actually alive.
yeah, I think it would be a little tough if she is like, like, especially because like Emilia Clarke's doing like a great job, and it's been really cool to see her in the MCU, and I think the character is really interesting, and she's not like the kind of character that you have to like that's gonna be in a bunch of other MCU things, but she is cool enough and entertaining enough so far. I like what the character is to like. It'll be nice to see down the line and here and there, like Everett Ross, like. And I just don't see them killing off a character like that who's young this quickly, especially when like they need to progress the MCU with characters that people like. And after killing one that we all loved in the first episode, it's kind of like they're gonna kill another one. I don't know. All those things make me think that she's actually not dead.
I agree with that. It does feel
we'll
weird to kill her off this early, especially since it is Emilia Clarke.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. But I'm hopeful that she's not. Although it would be like the breaking point for Talos. Like,
yeah, and it does kind of feel like he needs that. He needs a breaking point. Do you feel like his wife is actually dead?
No, I don't know what's real. Like that. Maybe this is the show's brilliant because we honestly have no clue like what is actually true or not, right? Like
that's kind of why like I'm reserving judgment until like I finish this, right?
Yeah, it's definitely well done. It's enjoyable. Like I've definitely enjoyed watching it.
I'm looking forward.
So And it then also brings to the point, like, is Priscilla even like really on Fury's side? Because I'm not sure about that either, you know? So, yeah.
Also, it feels like we have not spent enough time with Priscilla Fury for the amount of importance she may have on this show.
Yeah. I hope it's not too much importance, because then it really becomes kind of like, okay, they probably like, I'm sure if they give her more importance, we're going to be able to be like, that wasn't necessary. Like, this is not necessary. Like, she's going to end up dying, and Fury, it's going to make Fury again. He's going to put the eye patch back on. We're going to be like, really? That's his canon event? His wife that we just found out about 2 episodes ago?
I love that you're going to start using that for meta commentary on superhero movies. I'm also thing. All right. That's going to be a thing on this show. We're doing that from now on.
Yeah, like what? Like that's Fury's canon event. That's Fury's canon event, that his wife that we just found out about like 2 hours ago dies. Come on, come on, Marvel.
Well, they got to create they have to create a canon event. So yeah, I think the second episode, there's really not a whole lot more left to say about it, except for we do get and this is confirmed very early in the 3rd episode, we get a sneak peek that the Skrulls are possibly working on creating a super Skrull, which
that's right. We haven't even talked about that yet.
That for the record, this is a real character in Marvel Comics, the Super Skrull. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And is it Gravik in the comics?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I actually forget his name. But he's entirely composed differently. His powers are, and if you look at the powers that they've accumulated in the show, they're like mostly like 1-to-1 copies. The Super Skrull has all of the powers of the Fantastic Four. So you know the fire, the stretching, the rock, and the force field invisibility.
For fuck's sake.
Yeah, he's got all those. Which, like, it feels weird to do a Super Skrull thing without the Fantastic Four, but whatever. They're making it work. I saw Groot's stretchy things, so like that's how they're doing Reed Richards. There was something about ice. There was the arm from the Cult Obsidian that was cut off in Infinity War.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool, because he's already a Super Skrull, right? They just showed this in the episode 3. Like, he's got healing ability or something.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he does have that.
So
already.
he's already either got all of the powers or the important ones
on his way. Yeah,
on his way. So yeah, I can't believe I didn't bring this up. That's hilarious that I forgot that even happened.
So episode 3, Gravik, tells us that the Super Skrull thing is happening. So we have that going on. Meanwhile, Talos and Fury are trying to stop a missile launch that, as you pointed out, Nick, the suspense, which is actually handled very well in this scene. And it kind of felt like for a moment that this was actually going to happen. And it does not. Actually, thankfully, this stops because of Talos' trust in Gaia. Gaia is able to like make some work happen.
It was like a pretty it was just like a well done interrogation scene, really. I thought. Obviously him being a Skrull makes it a little bit different. That was like maybe a more important scene for how big the Skrull infiltration is, rather than even like the room of all the leaders in the episode earlier, right? Like when all the leaders are in the episode earlier and you're like, oh shit, all these leaders are Skrulls, you're like, oh man, that's a big problem. But for some reason, that interrogation and finding out that he was a Skrull made the problem seem more real. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I liked how explosive Talos was in this scene. You can really see how this is all getting to him. Watching Gaia try and get out felt also very scary. It was like, okay, at what moment is she gonna get caught?
Yeah.
And then finally she does, and finally she is shot. But interestingly, that is not where we leave the episode. We leave the episode with Priscilla Fury, who is trying to get a gun out of a safety deposit box. I'm not exactly sure why. Not sure if I missed something.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that whole Priscilla thing is really annoying though. It's like, okay.
Yeah, where is this going? This feels unnecessary.
Like, it feels unnecessary.
Also, the secret wife feels very Clint Bartlett. No, that's not right.
Bartlett.
Clint Barton. Thank you.
Let Bartlett be Bartlett. Sorry. West Wing reference for you fans out there.
Nice. We don't have enough of those.
Yeah,
West
it
Wing
does.
references or fans.
Yeah, that's true. Sadly, great show.
Great show.
Yeah, but yeah, that's exactly what it feels like, like, but that felt more natural. Of course, a secret agent, as I'm saying this out loud, I'm realizing how stupid I sound. Of course, a secret agent has a secret family. It becomes a little bit more believable now that we're talking about it in this context.
I guess for me, it's just like, we've
they
already
have
been
set
here.
the precedent. They have set the precedent, though, so maybe it's not as big of a deal as we think.
I mean, they made it interesting with the fact that she's a Skrull, right? It's like, wow, Nick is really he's actually in bed with the Skrulls.
Yeah. No, I'm not.
Is...
Sorry.
Uh-oh. But yeah,
Anna's not a Skrull, she's Swiss.
Same thing. Yeah. So yeah, we finish off with the call to Gravik. It's not Gravik. It's definitely Don Cheadle who picks up. And that's where we are. I think the show has its issues with just feeling like a little aimless.
Yeah.
But I am interested. Everyone's acting their heart out, and I love that.
It really feels like the same kind of concept or vibe from a Resistance perspective as like Captain Falcon in the Winter Soldier.
I was just gonna say that the villains feel exactly like that. The Flag Smashers.
Yeah, it's so similar to that. In feeling, at least. I haven't watched that show in months, obviously, because it was
I think that is a great comparison.
It really is similar.
Well, like you have these characters who, even though like they're committing acts of terrorism, like you hear what they're saying, you're like,
right.
Well, yeah, that does sound pretty bad, actually. Like these people do need help. Why are we necessarily vilifying them? Sure, certainly there's something we can do to help.
Right.
And so I don't know. From that perspective, it's a bit of an odd choice. I think Gravik makes a more compelling villain than, oh my god, I don't even remember her name. The lead Flag Smasher.
Oh yeah.
I never quite bought her as a villain. Oh my god, it's Carly. That's it.
Carly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't like I didn't dislike her though either. But yeah, I agree. But there's just similarities between the Flag Smashers and the Resistance to the Skrulls, right? Like, which is fine. But like, Marvel kind of did this already. So where is it going? I think is really our combined like frustration so far with the show. Although we do like it. I do enjoy it. It's enjoyable. And the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, it's probably better that it's only like a 6-part mini. It's almost like a mini series, right? It's not really like a full show. It's probably better that way.
I think so.
I don't know. I think it's very likely we see Captain Marvel. I think it's important that we do, especially because it feels like we're getting set up to see her, like these shows, right? Like WandaVision, they give us like Maria Rambeau, which is direct relation to Captain Marvel. Or was it Mrs. Marvel?
Yeah, Miss Marvel.
Miss Marvel.
She's not married yet.
We see Captain Marvel at the end of that. And now in the previews for the Marvels, we see obviously all three kind of coming together with Nick Fury. And like this is like, I think this is the last show / movie that has to do with all 4 of them. So like I imagine we're gonna get some kind of Captain Marvel reveal again at the end of this, to kind of maybe put all those shows together, all 3 TV shows together, and give us like okay, this is what the Marvels is going to be about.
I hope so. I always kind of feel like Carol Danvers has gotten shafted as far as the MCU goes.
100%.
Yeah, like she's probably one of the few remaining phases 1 through 3 heroes like left. And I still feel like we have not seen a ton of her, which is crazy considering like Peter Parker, which, like, don't get me wrong, I know it's Peter Parker, and Peter Parker is like one of the most well-known name in media ever. But since his reveal in Civil War, we've gotten 3 Spider-Man movies and him featured in 2 Avengers movies.
Yeah.
He's already been in 6 movies.
Right.
Whereas Carol's been in
yeah.
2.
Well, it's not even just that she's only been in 2. Really, well, yeah, I guess 2, maybe 3, mostly 2.
Mostly 2.
And like a show here or there for a second. It's not really even just that. It's the span of time within the MCU. Like, it's the timeline that's really the problem, right? Like, because technically, if you're going chronologically, Captain Marvel is the second superhero that we meet.
Yeah, in the 90s, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's like the one of the original superheroes chronologically in the MCU.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I have a couple questions for you left. Okay. Nick Fury, Skrull or nah?
No Skrull. Not a Skrull.
No Skrull. I think you've actually swayed me into not Skrull territory. Nick Fury's not himself, but it's more metaphorical than it is actual.
Right.
Okay. Sonia, Skrull or nah?
I think she's a Skrull, but I think she's going to be one of the Skrulls that doesn't get found out as being a Skrull.
Yeah, no, I totally think that this is like the Skrull Queen, who is a character in Marvel Comics, Skrull Queen.
Okay. So you have more information than I do because you're the comic book man. Very cool. So now that you say that, I'm like, that's definitely who it is, because
well, at first I thought it was Emilia Clarke, and I was wrong about that.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that would make sense, because there's got to be like, there's no way that at the end of the show is like, okay, all the Skrulls there's a million of them.
God, right.
Right. And the more compelling thing would be to like leave one that's even closer to Fury than all the other ones were, and that he still doesn't know about. Yeah, she's got to be the Skrull Queen. I don't even have.
I think so too.
Other than what you just said, that sounds awesome. Like a story continuation standpoint.
Yeah. And I think we're far from being done with the Skrulls after this. I think this is ultimately going somewhere.
Yeah.
All right. James Rhodey.
Skrull.
Definitely. Like, come on. Like, definitely a fucking Skrull. So somebody said, I forgot who, someone said that there was a Skrull high up in the American government. And that could be referring to Rhodey, right? Could be. Do you think the American president is a Skrull?
1000%.
Dude, that'd actually be pretty mind-blowing.
In real life and in MCU. I'm just kidding.
Joe Biden. It's the only reason why we can explain why Joe Biden isn't so sleepy these days. He's been replaced. Sleepy Joe. He's sleeping somewhere else. Oh,
all right, well, now we can't post this episode.
What do you mean? They're already listening to us.
It sounds like this is like a
hi, Mr. NSA agents.
Oh God! All right. Well, you're gonna have to edit all this out so it doesn't get taken down. First episode gets taken down. Joe's out of line.
Out of line. Take him to Rikers. Take him to Guantanamo.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna reserve my score for this one. What about you?
Oh yeah, no, we don't do scores halfway through anyway.
Cool. I'm glad you remembered that. I didn't.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna call it here then. And the next time we come on, we will have concluded Marvel's Secret Invasion.
And we will be very close or releasing more reviews of Oppenheimer and Barbie as well.
Yeah. So. Oh, I'm so glad that you're sort of on the train for that.
Oh, I'm definitely on the train. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to see them both the same weekend. So we might have to do the Barbie one later.
We can space that out. Yeah.
Which is fine anyway. So
yeah,
no big deal.
We'll space it out. Yeah. It's going to be great. This is going to be a fantastic weekend.
Oh, I can't wait.
All right. We'll close it out here for today. And we'll be talking about the end of Marvel Secret Invasion next time you hear from us. But until you do, may the review be with you. Bye.
Peace.